Welcome back to the ballroom. I walked past a lot of conversations outside, and there's so much energy and so much robustness, and it's really incredible for a person like myself who doesn't really work in your industry. I've had my first meeting with my first lady farmer. I'm sat next to this amazing gentleman here who just slayed the previous panel, and it's just a wonderful sharing, and of course there seems to be also a lot of determination. So it's a very nice place to spend a couple of days and to be your MC. I just want to draw your attention to the catalog that you have on the table with you, which is, the information about the entire 2 days that we have here. Just somewhere in the center, we actually have some wonderful photographs, and they're very inspiring pictures. We actually ran a responsible business Instagram photo contest back in March, and some of the people whose winning photos are in there are actually in the room today. So I want to congratulate you on some thought-provoking and very beautiful photography, and if you do have this with you, do have a look at that as well. I know that I keep harping on about our hashtag and get onto Pigeonhole. We're having a little tiny technology problem, very tiny. So as we work that out, we'd like to encourage you to keep checking back into Pigeonhole because it will be fixed. The pigeon has not flown the coop. And also, when we do finish our panels, we will do it the old-fashioned way. We will actually have some people on the floor with handheld mics. So if you have those questions, please shoot them out at us after the panel discussion is over and when our moderator asks for them. But do keep checking back into Pigeonhole. Don't forget the hashtag. And technology has a way of working itself out. Okay. I'd now like to introduce you to our next panel, which is our food panel. The global population is expected to reach 9 billion by 2050, which places enormous pressure for sustainable food production. The next panel will discuss solutions through stronger partnerships, education, science, innovation technology, and better business practices. I'd like to introduce our next chair and moderator to the stage and his panel, Bruce Tolentino, Deputy Director General, International Rice Research Institute. Bruce, if you would please.
The panelists, of course, are Rashid Qureshi from Nestle, Andrew McConville from Syngenta, Madame Leti Hop from the Vietnam Nutrition Association, and Dr. Hendro Poedjono, Regional Corporate Affairs of FrieslandCampina. So, good morning. You've had some food, you've had some coffee, and now we turn to food. And very often we talk about food security. And I did put up some notes up to what I was going to say. And indeed, let me ask all of you, what is the world's oldest profession? I know some of you have an answer on the tips of your tongues. Farming. But of course, in this room, it's farming, right? Farming is the world's oldest profession. And indeed, we can all agree on that, because in one way or another, each and every person in this room is associated either directly or indirectly with food production. Is that right? Food production. And the idea is, when we define food and we ask about food security, we understand what food security means. It is when all people at all times have access to sufficient, safe, nutritious food to maintain a healthy and active life. And let's keep that in mind, because food security is not only about farmers, it is about us. All of us who need to eat, who need to drink, who need to have the appropriate nutrition to heal, to have healthy and active lives. The thing is that the world is moving on, and there are many forces that's driving food production. There are more people. There's a lot more consumption. Population in 2016, right now, is 7.4 billion. By 2050, it will be 9 billion. By 2100, it will be 11.2 billion. How are we going to feed all of those people? And as the number of people increase, average wealth is also increasing. Average wealth. Of course, there's still a lot of pockets of poverty, and by our current estimate, there's at least 1 billion people who go to bed hungry each night. But with increasing wealth, there's a lot more demand for quality food, safe food, tasty food, nutritious food, food that looks good, food that smells good, food that you can be proud of. And now most of us are buying our food from the supermarkets. About half of all food in Asia is now bought in supermarkets. Many of us in this room no longer go to the wet market. Or if we imagine the wet market, we just imagine it. We don't actually go there. So, indeed, branded food, packaged food is going to be the norm, is already the norm. And all this is happening while resources are diminishing. There's less land, there's less water, greater distances have to be traveled for the food to get from the farm to the table. And all of this has changed in just one generation. I was here 25 years ago in this hotel, in this area. And around here were all farms. Now, you can't see any farms anymore in Jakarta area. So natural resources are rapidly dwindling, and there's the long-term, continuing, inevitable problem of climate change. We're also afraid that in the next few years, even now as we speak, there might be a repeat of the 2007-2009 food price crisis, and the signs are there. And if we don't act, and if we don't act together, it just might happen. So what do we need to do? Much greater productivity, much greater efficiency, much more innovation, driven by science and research, and enabling everybody to take advantage of all that through trade and exchange. And all of this has to be done together. We can't be on our own in doing all this. ASEAN needs to lead the way. So as we start this panel, let me ask each of our panelists to say a little bit about their own work, a minute or two, and then we'll go to the questions coming in from the floor. Thank you. Shall we start with you, Andrew?
Sure, thanks, Bruce. I think my company, Syngenta, we are a global technology company. Should people hear me? Okay. So yeah, I work for Syngenta. We're a global technology company. We provide inputs to farmers, and that's not enough. You've got to participate right through the value chain, and I think we have to look at it not on a crop-specific basis, but on a value chain basis. And to do that, I think of it fairly simply in terms of sort of A, B, C, and D. And A is really around active responsibility. So how do we provide access to technology, access to knowledge, and access to markets? And those three things have to work very well together. I think the second point is that we have to work harder at building better collaboration. So how do we develop partnerships right through the value chain with all participants? That's driven by better governance. They've got to be multi-stakeholder. There has to be shared value for everyone in that chain. And importantly, those partnerships have to be scalable. And I think that's something that we've all struggled with, particularly with smallholder farmers. The C in the equation is about compellingly demonstrating success. The best way a farmer learns, if any of you have been to farmer field days, farmers congregate around the lead farmer, they'll listen to the lead farmer, and it's the lead farmers that can best impart knowledge. So how do we start to celebrate their success and educate other farmers through creating those networks of farmers? I think we have to be patient. It's about starting small, but then you get on a J-curve of growth. And we've got projects in India where we started with 100 farmers in year one, 200 farmers in year two, 500 in year three, and then year four you get 5,000 and 10,000 farmers. So being patient to allow that to happen, I think, is important, and being able to demonstrate that. And then I think lastly about developing accountability. If we're going to create these partnerships right through the food value chain, how do we all hold ourselves accountable, and how do we bring better transparency to the data that we generate? and how do we hold ourselves accountable to society, because ultimately these are the people that buy our products, these are the people that give us license to operate. You know, my company, we have a thing called the Good Growth Plan, which is a series of commitments to sustainability. That's about holding the company accountable for what it does. An initiative called the Rice Bowl Index, which Bruce, I know you know about, is about bringing transparency to things around the farm productivity, trade, policy and pricing. All of these initiatives are very, very important, and we have to collectively work at it, because no one company, whether it be ourselves, whether it be Nestle, whether it be anyone else, has the answers to try and create better food value chains. But I think if we can focus on those very simple points of A, B, C and D, we can generate a far more effective relationship for all of the value chain participants.
Thank you. Mr. Qureshi?
Okay, thank you. I'll start again by re-emphasizing the importance of food security, because it's very important to understand that food security is when all people, be it individual, households, family, regional, global level, they have the economic, social, as well as physical access to good quality food, which is safe all the time, and which is not only important for their dietary requirement, but as well as for their food preferences. And why I'm highlighting this again, because Nestle being the largest food and beverage company, and with our vision of nutrition, health and wellness, we have to have a lot of responsibility as well as opportunity when it comes to food security and nutrition. Because interestingly, the company, which was built 150 years back, was built on nutrition. Because our founder, Henry Nestle, invented this infant cereal to save the life of a young baby, a neighbor, 1866. So this is 150 years. And for us, core to our business strategy is what we define as creating shared value. Because we're in the food, we have to buy raw material, then we have to process them. So we have to work very, very closely with the farmer. So for us, it is creating shared value, which we always highlight. It is not a CSR. It is core to business strategy. And this creating shared value is not only for our shareholders, but also for society at large. And there we focus on 3 areas: water, rural development, and nutrition. So for example, worldwide, we have 41 research centers, which is doing research on nutrition, how to bring nutrition into our products so that consumers can enhance their lives. But more importantly, our work on rural development is key, because as we have discussed since morning, it is the farmer who is the key stakeholder in the value chain. And as it was mentioned, we need farmers 3 times a day at least: morning, lunch, and dinner. And we hope we don't meet the doctor every month even. So there we have these public-private partnerships, which we strongly encourage. It was mentioned by Pa Frankie in terms of Pisagro, where all of us have to bring our resources together, our expertise together, where we can create these unique value chain partnerships so that we can add value and improve the economic prosperity of the farmer. Because at the end of the day, if farming does not become sexy, nobody will stay there.
Yes.
Everybody would like to come to cities. So we need to ensure that our models are ensuring that there is a incentive for the farmer to stay, and it should be profitable so he can make money. And then whatever we do it in an environmental sustainable way. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And now, Madame Letty Hop from the Vietnam Nutrition Association.
Thank you. Selamat pagi. So before introduction about myself, I can tell you my quick survey, just observation. I can see from all participants that almost all our participants with a good nutritional status, no obese and no CD. That means the good nutrition and good food. So I come from, now I am president of Vietnam Nutrition Association, and I was the former director of the National Institute of Nutrition of Vietnam. And the main problem in Vietnam now is stunting, and start facing with overweight and obesity, so double burden of malnutrition. And from nutrition point of view, we think that food security is essential and is very important for good life, good health, and good nutrition. But it's not enough for nutrition security. But when we are talking about nutrition security, and I think we should talking about both food security, just provide enough the quantity of food, enough energy, but the micronutrient deficiency and balanced diet is another problem. And also, I think if we want to have good nutrition, we also pay attention on food safety problem. It's very, very hot issue, not only in Vietnam, but I think in Asian countries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree, yeah.
I feel very good with your comment, Madam Lee, that as a food producers, I think to see and to hear what you comment is very nice. I'm Hendro. I'm from FrieslandCampina. I work for a company owned by 19,000 farmers. We are one of the largest dairy cooperative in the world. We are a Dutch-based company, and the company owned by 90,000 farmers. This is a good opportunity for FrieslandCampina to be here, to be with you talking about food security. Many of you perhaps is not really familiar with the FrieslandCampina because we just merged, but in the region our brand is Dutch Lady, Force Friso, or in Indonesia we have Friesen Flag Indonesia, or very famous called by Susu Bendera. Our vision is nourishing by nature. What does it mean? We want to create shared value. Our work is about how to support affordable nutrition for the population now and also for the future. And we're sharing about what we are doing in Indonesia and also in the region, especially in Asia, is something that we feel very good. We're working with the farmers in 4 countries, Indonesia, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Thailand. We are sharing about our practice. We have a program what we call Farmers to Farmers, and how to educate the farmers in this region by our farmers in Netherlands. We work with them. We educate right now is about more than 1,000 farmers in the region, and the result immediately we can see that the quality, the production is increasing. Safety and quality is one of our efforts to make sure the license of operate. Therefore, I think this forum will be very good, and we discuss further. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, most of this morning we've talked about farmers. We've talked about farmer interests. But we also need to pay attention to consumers, right? And isn't it about time that we also, if not even more important, pay attention to the needs of consumers, who after all would be the focus of food security? And that's your point, madam. You were saying earlier in your survey that you don't see too many malnourished people in this room. But if we had many farmers, you'd also see problems of malnutrition among farmers, because many subsistence farmers are also consumers part of the time. So a question that I could ask the panelists is, isn't it time also to put consumers at the forefront of food policy?
I can share some thoughts. For our company, obviously micronutrient fortification, which is the basic fortification, is the key. And like in Indonesia, we have iodine, vitamin A deficiency. What we try to do is that we launch these products which are nutritious and specially fortified with those micronutrients which are deficient in those parts of the world. And then we have to work with government. Actually, when I was in Vietnam, we worked with the ministry, and we used certain categories, which was granulated bouillon, seasoning powder, where we worked with the ministry to add this, and we jointly then went to the small villages and talked about the importance of balanced nutrition. And in all our programs, I think this is key, that whatever we do, we need to keep on doing not only fortification, but education, because especially for lower income consumers, they lack the knowledge of nutrition. So it's very important for us that we make sure that we do a lot of road shows, we do activities where we can engage with consumer and highlight them the importance. And last comment is that all our research center actually are developing different nutrients which can be used in different categories.
Yes, yes. Would anybody like to add to that? Yeah. Henry?
I think to add the other panelists, we also just recently conducting CNUT study. CNUT study is about nutrition profile in the region. I think we work together with you, Madam Lee, in Vietnam. We found out that in the region, which is in our tropical countries, we found out that the people, especially the children, got deficiency of vitamin D. And we are working how to tackle this issue together with the government, together with nutrition expert. It's not only just in a big city, but also in a rural area. We are dealing with NCDs with the double burden issue. Yeah. I think most of the important things that at the end, we cannot work alone. We have to work together. We have to be collaborative. I think I believe that the reason why we have forum today is about that. How we can work together, private, public, partnership, expert, to find solution, effective solution for this issue.
You want to add something?
Okay.
Yeah. Concerning the micronutrient deficiency, and we join also study CNUT in 4 countries. And we found that the calcium deficiency among children in Vietnam and also in other countries very high. Vitamin D, and recently survey from Vietnam, the national survey, the anemia now about 1/3 of pregnant women, and also 30% of under 5 children suffer from anemia. And zinc deficiency is very, very high percentage, just above 60% of under 5 just are zinc deficient. And we think that in Asian country we have a lot of food fortification program. For example, in the Philippines, rice fortified with iron. In Vietnam, we have the GAIN project, and fish sauce, soy sauce, also fortified with iron. And sugar and oil fortified with vitamin A, like cooking oil in Indonesia. I also visit this one, and flour fortification. So I think that's to improve the nutrition status of children and population. I think for each country or each region we have specific strategies. But for nutrition, multi-sectoral integration is very important. From agriculture, from health sector, and also industry, I think it's from community. It's very important to join and to improve the nutrition for population.
Thank you. Now, I come from IRI, the International Rice Research Institute, and hearing what you guys have just said, I have to remind myself, man does not live by rice alone, right? Of course, in the West, we'll say man does not live by bread alone. Indeed, we all need a varied diet, and not a single food can handle all of the needs that we have for nutrition. Now, let's turn to another topic, and a topic that sometimes we often miss out, and that is food waste. In fact, depending on the estimates that you see, they can be quite large. How are the firms and the organizations on this panel addressing the question of food waste? Would you like to try that, Andrew?
I think it's not a challenge that we directly turn our minds to, because we're at the input end of the equation. I mean, our focus is very much on improving that sort of smallholder productivity at the input end. And we shouldn't forget that there's 300 million smallholder farmers in Asia, and most of them are subsistence. Add to their families, it's 1.5 billion people that are still struggling to get out of that. So I think, in terms of food waste, I think it's also about the quality of food. You know, if we can, as you say, if we can introduce variety in the diets, for example, vegetable production as well as rice production, if we can introduce protein, then, you know, by nature, the level of waste will come down because there's that variety there. And so our focus is on sort of trying to introduce, new consumption patterns, new products, the vegetables particularly. So we don't have a specific solution because we're focused more on the input sides, but I think if you can introduce that variety, certainly for that subsistence smallholder family farm, I think you can help reduce, you know, some of that waste.
Yeah, one or two example I can share is that obviously on the packaged food, the waste is almost not there. It's mainly with the raw material for us. And one of the key learning which we have seen is one is building these, again, value chain partnerships. When you have value chain partnership working, you bring the expertise. We have a lot of techniques where we can have this warehousing, we can have this value chain studies, which helps us to reduce. One of the things which we have done is that the faster you can reduce the value chain, the faster you can reach to the farmer itself, the reduction is quite high. Obviously, it's not easy because of at times certain laws with all the smallholder farmers. The time, whatever time we can reduce in terms of the value chain excess, there's a lot of potential of saving there. So as much as we can reach directly to the farmers, it helps us to really control on food waste also.
Thank you. And how about food waste in a large cooperative like Campesino?
Sorry, what you
In your group is a membership group with many farmer cooperatives. How do you address the issue of food waste in that context?
Yes, I think one of the big issue here, talking about the waste issue, is about education. Yeah, we educating the farmers' family, and also we educating the population. Therefore, we cannot work by our own. We can do a lot of saving, management in a warehouse in our industry, but in the population, how to address this must be through the education. And we encourage this. We have a certain program for doing this to address this issue. We also addressing this issue not only just in the region, but also in Africa, for example, where the issue is a bit different because in Africa is something else. They have an issue about how they can get more food, and while here we're just wasting a lot of food. I think that we are working not only just with our consumer, but also with the government, with education institution, how to address this, because we have to approach this in holistic approach. Yeah, we can have a lot of idea by industry, but at the end of the day, the execution is in the people itself. It's about the behavior, and we have a special program for that.
Yes. Okay. In addition to the question of food waste, there's also a lot of concern on food safety. And very often concerns about food safety start in the home, among mothers, among the managers of the kitchen. How are you ensuring that this question is spoken of? And then how do the companies address this question of food safety?
Yes, the food safety, I think now is very, very hot issue in Vietnam also and in other countries. And in the nutrition strategy of Vietnam, we have also national food safety program. And I think it's first the education for people, for mother, understand about food safety, how to select the safe food is very important. But from our nutrition point of view, we also have experience in Vietnam just how to ensure food safety and food security at household level. We introduced the nutrition square. We call it a small corner in the garden for each farmers. They grow by just vegetables by themselves, so they have enough clean, safe vegetables, and they raise also chicken and ducks and also fish for their consumption. I think it's very important for household level.
Thank you. And how are the companies responding to that?
I think One of the key things, Bruce, is that, regulation has to be science-based, it has to be predictable, and then companies can work to meet those standards. I work for a company that produces pesticides and GMOs, so food safety is something that we sort of have to focus a fair bit on, and I think it's about working in partnership with the governments to establish appropriate regulatory regimes, and then working with others to promote the level of confidence in those regimes. But I think as long as they can be transparent, they're science-based and they're predictable, then as an input company, we know where the bar's set, we can meet that bar. It's not about how high the bar is set, but understanding where it's set, and then we'll meet that. So it's got to be a combined approach between government and the manufacturers to set appropriate standards, and as long as they're science-based, transparent and predictable, then I think we can achieve the objectives of the consumers to have safe food.
Okay, so a clear regulatory framework.
Absolutely,
for food safety.
absolutely.
Yes. Okay, we have only a few minutes left, and I'd like to invite the panelists to say a little bit as a closing statement before we finally leave the stage. So.
Okay, I can start as I have the mic. Look, for me, on food security and nutrition, the most important stakeholder is the farmer. I will not further stress it. And it has to be, the farmer should be always involved in all the policy discussions. We need to make sure that farmer makes money so that they see business opportunity in whatever they are doing. And then they stay on the farm, because average age, if I remember, is more than 56 years of a farmer now. We need to have a commitment in terms of leadership, not only from a corporate, from a company perspective, but I think individual leadership is also very, very important, so we can continue to drive this important agenda of food security and nutrition.
Thank you.
I think Bruce would come back to the point around collaboration. One of the challenges is getting the right people in the room and starting to have the right conversations. And clearly with a group like this, that's good progress towards doing so. And in collaborating, making sure that we've got, as I said at the start, good governance, that multi-stakeholder dialogues, that the value is shared amongst all the participants, and importantly, to Rashid's point, right back to the farmer. The farmer has to see value in all of these things in order to participate and feel as though he's or she is an equal partner. And that whatever collaboration we have, it has to be scalable. Ultimately, we have to reach millions of farmers, not tens of farmers, in order to be successful.
Thank you. And Henry, then I'll leave the last word to Madam Letiho.
Farmers is our hearts, because the company is owned by the farmers. I think everything related to farmers is always touch us how to continue the farmers to support affordable, safe food for the world. But we have also another issue that is not only just economical issue, but also the aging farmers. The age of the farmers become older and older because the farmers' work is not really interested anymore for the young generation. This is something what we have to tackle. It's not only just in the region, but also worldwide. Therefore, again, to work together with the multi-stakeholders to address the issue together, to find effective solution is the issue that we have to work with.
Thank you. Madam Letiho, last word.
Yes. For me, I think in order to have good health and good nutrition, we need both food security and food safety. And also, we need the cooperation for whole society, from industry, from agriculture, from health sector, and also from government.
Yeah. So, we need both sides then. We're not just talking about consumers, we're also talking about farmers. And both sides have to be happy in that partnership. Both sides have to be happy in that equation. Farmers get a decent living, and consumers get the food they need and want at the quality they want. And the markets must be governed by a set of rules and regulations that government promulgates that enables everybody to have a chance to participate equitably in that system. So shall we give the panel a good hand? Yeah. So,
Thank you very much for this panel, and we'll turn it back to the floor. Yeah.
Thank you.